topic. I will then give a summary of my presentation and conclusion. The section that I was assigned was a question, rather. My question is from part 1, and it is question number 4. My question, where Darrell Wang Su defines institutional racism as any policy, practice, and structure in governments, businesses, unions, schools, places of worship, courts, and law enforcement agencies that unfairly subordinate persons of color while allowing whites to profit from such actions. Another definition that I have found for institutional racism comes from Chegg.com, which says, a pattern of social institutions such as governmental organizations, schools, banks, and courts of law giving negative treatment to a group of people based on their race. Now, I tried to find a definition of institutional racism that was more of a layman term definition, but I was unable to find one. So we can see that from both of these definitions of institutional racism that they are a general definition that is used across the board. The questions that this part asked me to answer are as follows. What is an example of institutional racism that you have witnessed in your lifetime? Which institutions were involved? Who was harmed? And who was benefited? An example of institutional racism that I have witnessed has been quite a bit of a touchy subject. Although I did not personally witness this event, it has been a topic of some controversy. So the topic that I have decided to explore is the Black Lives Matter movement. The institutions that have been involved in this institutional racism have been police forces around the United States and the Black Lives Matter community. Throughout the last couple of years, there have been many different people that have been harmed by the Black Lives Matter movement. Of course, the main group of people that have been harmed is the black communities, where there have been police-involved shootings where the police officer is white and the person that is shot is black. I think that one could also argue that the communities that surround these shootings have been harmed as well. As we have seen in St. Louis after the shooting of Michael Brown, the shops and businesses in the area of the shooting were looted, robbed, and destroyed. Most of these businesses were owned and operated by people that live in these communities. I also think that a lot of people do not realize that these type of shootings do a lot of mental harm to the police officers themselves. However, in this case, the people that have been harmed classically by this matter is the black community. I think that there are many different ways that you can look at who has benefited from these police-involved shootings. The clear choice of who has benefited would be the white police officers or police precinct in general. However, the way I look at it is that the black communities are benefiting from all the media coverage that they are getting. I also think that the black community has also benefited or hindered them from the accusing of all these police-involved shootings. Because I think that police officers are becoming more afraid from doing their job, which could also hurt the communities overall. Of all the police-involved shootings that have involved a white police officer and black perpetrator in the last couple of years, only one shooting has been an unjustified shooting. The next example of institutional racism that I will talk about is the amount of black people that are in prison compared to white people. The institutions that are involved in this example are federal prisons, police, and usually black men. from June 30th to December 31st of 2010, data shows that for 100,000 people incarcerated, 2,207 were black compared to 380 white people per 100,000 incarcerated. This data shows that black people are nearly 6 times more likely to be incarcerated than white people. The statistic alone showed me that police and the law enforcement agencies are singling out the black population when it comes to the crimes that they see. You could argue that the families of the convicted are being harmed as well due to the fact that if the person that is being incarcerated is the sole provider for the family, that leaves a family without a source of income. If you also look at it from a different perspective, the general population is being punished as well, because those of us that are hardworking Americans paying taxes are also paying to house and feed criminals that get sent to prison. Those who benefit from people being sent to prison, I think, are also the communities where these guys are being caught. You'll see more and more that police are picking up guys on drug-related charges. Now, if they are selling drugs, this will help get the drugs off the street. When you take these guys off the street, the police are benefiting from not having to rearrest the same people over and over again. So we can see from these two examples that there are forms of institutional racism all around us. I know that I focused a lot on the absolute negative of possibilities when it comes to institutional racism. I focused on police shootings and incarceration rates of black people compared to white people. However, there are many more forms of institutional racism out there, especially when it comes to education and finances. We can see this through the definition which we read at the beginning of this slide, which goes as follows: a pattern of social institutions such as governmental organizations, schools, banks, and courts of law giving negative treatment to a group of people based on their race. I hope that you have learned something from this presentation on institutional racism, and I've had as much fun listening to it as I have had presenting it. I hope you all have had a great semester and look forward to your future endeavors.